Welcome back to Newsmax Now. We're continuing to focus on the Saudi Arabian oil field attacks. U.S. officials have been pretty specific about who they think is really responsible for the massive attack on Saudi Arabia's oil infrastructure. Officials released satellite images of the damage to the kingdom's key facilities today. And according to the Wall Street Journal, investigators believe the pattern of destruction indicates that Iran was the staging ground for the attack. Also, a Saudi military spokesman alleges that Iranian weapons had been used. President Trump has signaled his readiness to respond, saying the U.S. government remains locked and loaded. Iran, however, denies the allegations, and they say there is no chance now of a meeting between President Hassan Rouhani and President Trump at the UN next week. And joining us now with more on this situation, Fred Fleitz. He's a former deputy special assistant to President Trump. Currently, he is the president of the Center for Security Policy. His name has also been mentioned as a possible replacement for John Bolton as the president's national security advisor. And we'll talk about that more in a moment. Great to see you, Fred. Also with us in the center of the screen is James Woolsey, Ambassador James Woolsey, to be specific. He served as the director of Central Intelligence under President Clinton. He also served as a senior advisor to the Trump transition team and under Presidents Reagan, Bush, and Carter. All right, gentlemen, let's get started. Iran is still denying any involvement in this attack in Saudi Arabia, but Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and other senior military officials, according to those reports we just talked about, are directly implicating Tehran, and pretty explicitly. First to you, Ambassador Woolsey, is there any question in your mind that Iran is behind this?
Not really. It's got a lot of poodles in the Mideast, and the Houthis are one, and they also are utilize other poodles, and I think we just can be confident that given the interests at stake, given the behavior, given the falsehoods told by the Iranian government, I think it's really quite clear that the Iranians are behind it.
Fred, do you agree?
That's right. These were large, sophisticated, long-range drones. It's sort of inconceivable that the Houthis would have them. The Houthis are located near the Red Sea. These attacks took place almost at the Persian Gulf. These drones were at least purchased by a nation state. I think the Iranians probably bought them from North Korea and either fired them themselves or gave them to one of its terrorist groups, maybe in southern Iraq. But the word right now is that these missiles were fired from Iranian soil, which is a direct act of war and makes us much more serious.
And we could put up a map here and show everybody, in case folks aren't familiar at home, where Yemen exactly is located. Everybody can see where Iran is located as well in Saudi Arabia. And we know Iran has designs on Yemen because they want to control all the oil that flows out of the Middle East, and that's obviously part of this. But Fred, talk to us a little bit more about who the Houthi rebels are. Saudi Arabia has been at war with them for years. This is a proxy war between Iran and Saudi Arabia. We supply weapons to the Saudis. But why is it taking so long, and why is this civil war inside Yemen been going on for so long?
Yemen has had a weak government for decades. There actually are at least 6 or 7 factions that have been fighting for control of Yemen for many, many years. The Houthi rebels have been supported by weapons from Yemen, from Iran, I think for about 6 or 7 years now. And they're also trying to fight the government of Saudi Arabia, which was trying to support the government of Yemen, which the Houthis ousted. And Yemen is really an ungoverned space right now, which is giving opportunities for other terrorist groups to thrive, including Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. So it's really an area of great instability.
And Ambassador Woolsey, how do you think the U.S. should respond? We've talked a lot about this and the desire for the Iranians to goad the U.S. and President Trump into war. We've talked about previous attacks on oil tankers. They shot down a U.S. drone. They clearly seem to want some sort of real shooting war with the United States.
Well, whatever they want, it's a good idea to be very initially skeptical about giving it to them. And even though there are maybe reasons why we have to use force under these circumstances, it would seem to me that a very first thorough consideration ought to be to double down on the economic pressure and the economic power that we exert against Iran. We want to use, I think, every element at our control of economic strength and leverage against the Iranians. And however much they pull off whatever sort of things they're doing now, we may have to come back at them with military power, but they would far rather have that happen and then pick things up than to continue to see their population be so hit so hard by the oil sanctions.
Fred, even President Trump's critics have to give him some props for avoiding the provocations that Iran keeps, putting down in our way. How do you think the administration should respond? President Trump says he's locked and loaded, ready to go.
Well, this is a president elected to get the United States out of conflicts, out of endless conflicts, and not to start new ones. But that does not mean this president is a pacifist. He's made it clear that if our country is attacked or our allies are attacked, the U.S. will counterattack with devastating force. And I think the president is prepared to do that if necessary. He's taking his time to look at the evidence of this case, and he wants to see what the Saudis want to do.
Right.
I believe that if there is a military response, Saudi Arabia has to be involved in this and maybe take the lead.
Yes.
Because I think long-term, Saudi Arabia has to defend itself. It has quite an arsenal of fighter aircraft and missiles and could do devastating damage itself to Iran, and I believe that's being contemplated right now in the White House.
Right. I would think the president would need to make the case, and we've heard this before. We know it exists, but based on what happened, how attacking Saudi Arabia presents a direct military threat to the United States right now, that's the case the president would have to make. All right, gentlemen, we've got 2 minutes left. I want to talk about the vacant NSA position now that John Bolton is out. President Trump has started his search for a new national security advisor. Fred, everyone knows this program. They know your name has been on the short list. Any news you can share with us?
Well, I'd like to nominate Ambassador Woolsey. I think he'd be the best.
I'm nominating Fred.
I had the privilege of working
he got
the
in.
CIA. He'd do a far better job than I would. I don't know who the candidates are right now, but they're going to choose someone who is going to advance the president's America First agenda of keeping us out of wars, not starting new ones, reasserting American strength on the global stage, and trying to find a way to resolve some of these conflicts such as North Korea, with diplomacy without using force. And I think there's a lot of good candidates, and I think the president will choose very soon.
And Jim, this is a compliment to
Fred,
you. You're an old school kind of guy. I hate to cut you off, and I know you don't want to get into personalities here, but you are going to tell us what do you think would be some good characteristics that the president should be looking for in his next NSA?
I think the president needs to be able to take, the NSC advisor needs to be able to take one of two directions that a president may move toward in a crisis. Some circumstances he needs to be able to move to put together a national and inside the country and an international coalition to move forcefully, or he may need to put together a coalition and within his own administration to pull everyone together and go in a somewhat different direction. And that takes a kind of skill that I think Fred Fleitz does really demonstrate and has throughout his career. So although that was not a serious thing on me, it is a serious suggestion about Fred.
Well, you're not the only one saying this, and there are a lot of folks, touting Fred's credentials, and I like to tout him too because I know Fred so well, and he's a great guy, and we love having him on the program. And we might lose him a little bit if he's at the NSA, but at least we'll have the good old days, Fred, and we can talk about when you used to come on the program, looking ahead. Not that we want to do that, but great to see you both, gentlemen. Serious topic here, and look forward to having you both back again to talk about it more in the future. Ambassador James Woolsey and Fred Fleitz, great to see you both.
Good to be here. Thank you.
All right, real quickly, we're going to go to commercial break. But before we do so, we wanted to ask you again, we are conducting an urgent poll. Should the U.S. bomb Iran for attacks on Saudi Arabia? All you have to do is text the word poll to 95577. We'll send you the poll question, and then you can respond with yes or no. Again, text the word poll to 95577. Should the U.S. bomb Iran for attacks on Saudi Arabia? We'll be right back. You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for breaking news and give us a thumbs up. If you like this video, then share it with your friends. Remember, you can watch Newsmax TV live on YouTube. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.